why I'm here today, because it will take all of us talking with one another and all of us working together to see our nation through this difficult time and bring about that brighter day. So, I hope you're all ready to get to work. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to open it up to questions.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of folks back there too. I'm try not to completely discriminate to the folks who got here in front. There are no rules to this except a couple. First of all, nobody's been pre-selected here, so you know, I don't mind if you want to take me to task. If you think I'm a bum and doing a bad job, you go ahead and ask your question. The only thing I'd ask is everybody raise their hands. Not everybody now. Number two is that I'm going to go girl, boy, so it's fair. Number three, I would ask that everybody try to keep their question relatively brief so that we can get as many questions in as possible. Now, it doesn't have to be a question, it can be a comment as well, but you know, we want to try to keep the speeches to a minimum. Yeah. And I will try to also answer questions as briefly as possible. Okay? Yeah. All right, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take off my jacket if you guys are hot. Until you get a microphone so everybody can hear you. Introduce yourself if you can.
Good afternoon, President Obama. My name is Mrs. Victoria Raylon Holbrook, and I have a very simple question. Do you have intentions of, when the re-election comes, of running for president again?
Oh, well, first of all, let me say this. I've been in office for 2 months now. The last thing I'm thinking about is re-election. But I will tell you this, I mean, and this is a serious answer to your question. If I could get done what I think needs to get done in 4 years, even if it meant that I was only president for 4 years, I would rather be a good president taking on the tough issues for 4 years than a mediocre president for 8 years. And I will also say this, that my obligation is to make sure that we've improved our economy, that we've gotten serious on health care, made significant progress on energy, made education more affordable, and improved the excellence of our educational system, K through 12. That we have started controlling our deficits. So there are some very specific standards by which I think you should hold me accountable and measure my success. And if I don't deliver on those things 4 years from now, then I think you will be answering the question of whether I run for re-election or not. Because ultimately, I'm answerable to you. I'm your employee. Okay? All right. Gentleman in the black shirt right here. Yes, sir.
My name is Beth Cannon. My question concerns those states who have refused to take certain portions of the stimulus money. Is there any way to reallocate that money to those states who are willing recipients, such as California?
Well, look, we had a vigorous debate on the stimulus, on the Recovery Act, and let me just say a couple of things about the Recovery Act. Number one, there was almost uniform consensus among both conservative and liberal economists that when you have the economy on such a free fall, that you need a big stimulus to try to make sure that goods and services are still being purchased, and that the decline in demand as consumers pull back is being filled. If you don't, then the recession gets even worse. There's almost uniform consensus on it. So that's point number one. Point number two, the Recovery Act that we put forward contained some provisions in it that I don't think anybody should be able to argue with. That we're providing extended unemployment insurance to people who've lost their jobs. That we are allowing, if you've lost your job, right now you can get COBRA, but you can't afford COBRA. So subsidizing health insurance for people who've lost their jobs. Investing in our roads, in our bridges, in our infrastructure, so that we are more competitive over the long term. Now, there are some people, there have been just a handful of states, 2 or 3, who've said, we don't want to take some of the unemployment insurance, because what we said was that a portion of this unemployment insurance, you have to make it more available to people who are temporary workers or part-time workers, because the labor force has changed. And there are a lot of people, particularly women, who, they may have children, they may be working part-time, but when they lose that job, it's tough for them. So we've got to modify how we think about unemployment insurance. And they said, well, we don't want to change how we do things. I think that's a mistake. And I think that the folks in those states should let them know that it's a mistake, and I'm still hopeful that they may end up changing their minds. But I will keep in mind what you just said, which is there's at least one guy in California who's willing to take the money. Can I make one last point? I hope you don't mind. Can I make one last point about this stimulus package? I want to make a larger point about the deficit and the national debt. Because the main argument that you're hearing right now in opposition to some of our economic plans, including our budget, is you've got all this money going up, you're creating huge deficits and debt, and that's irresponsible. Well, first of all, most of these critics presided over a doubling of the national debt. We are inheriting a $1.3 trillion deficit. So they don't have the standing to make this criticism, I think, given how irresponsible they've been. That's point number one. Having said that, even somebody who caused the problem isn't wrong when they say it is a problem that we've got this big debt and these big deficits. So what we've tried to do is to say, let's right now just focus on getting the economy back on track, reducing unemployment, creating jobs, making sure our school systems still have teachers, cops are still on the streets, firefighters are still in the station house. Let's do what we need to do to get through this difficult time. Let's make some investments in healthcare, energy, education that will lay the foundation for long-term economic growth. But let's also start making some tough choices about the deficit as soon as we get out of this recovery. So, for example, we can't keep on providing the insurance companies huge subsidies under Medicare for a program called Medicare Advantage that doesn't make our seniors any healthier than the regular Medicare plan. We need to go